Alright, welcome back. This is BrainStorm with Brian Sturm. I'm a gamer, a game designer, and I've been a game tester. And this is Bioshock Infinite. And what I'll be doing is I'll be going through trying to impart some kind of level design, game design, pointing out things from the game industry. And it's not supposed to be 100% educational, but maybe it'll just enlighten some people or just be entertaining. And of course, to my fellow game designers, I want to let you know that when I do critique or complain about something, that it is me as a gamer, and I think I can have my human reaction to things, and of course between us as professionals we can say, I understand the constraints and the decisions you decided to make, and I'm allowed as a gamer to have my reactions. Okay, now before I get back into this combat, I want to point out what a wonderful moment this is. Here you have this railing coming down. So first of all, really kind of a cool moment to get to see, but what's going on under the hood, if you think about it, is that you're getting the player used to the idea, first of all, that people can swing around and drop down into combat, and that enemies can do that to you. So those are two major points, that possibly someone could do it, and that enemies have the option to do it. Now, I want you to pay attention to the fact that, yes, there's people dropping down and firing up on you. See, there we go. All right, and dropping down there. But you notice how they're not running up to me like normal. That's me sucking very badly. Think about the next thing I want to talk about. Oh, hello. No, that's wonderful too. So they have a machine gun, and you're getting used to using your vigors. So here you have a big fight. Oopsie. You have a big fight, and you have an option to take control of this tower over here. Now, being a little bit, I guess you would say, I'm being a little bit cavalier about my fight here, and I'm taking a little bit more damage than I wanted to. Yeah. I'd also like to point out earlier, I don't believe I walked down here, but you could scope this out. So this is interesting that they let players kind of see this area. The second thing is that this cabinet was closed. So previously, this actually might have had the item in it. That's doubtful it did. So this entire cabinet might have been dropped out of memory and a new asset placed with the door open and then this placed within it. Or possibly this was in here the whole time and they had some kind of scripted trigger in which to open the door. I don't know how they're running it. It is the Unreal Engine. Anywho, so I wanted to point out that this was available earlier, but it was locked, and I'm not quite sure the mechanism in which they decided to open it. Now, I would have preferred to have actually to have used this for the fight, but I messed up and I hit a little bit of terrain. Now, unfortunately, also I've gone through and played this area about 3 times now. I've had some recording mistakes happen, so this is probably my 3rd or 4th playthrough on this. And let's get my timer going. Okay. Sorry about that. That was a boring little moment there. Sorry about that. I had to start a timer, so I'm keeping track of the length of these videos. So they give you lots of stuff in which to get your health back up. There you go. They're giving me lots of audio cues. Of course, that's procedural. The enemy characters are obviously already saying those on a percentage basis, or depending on your proximity, or there's different various things in which are making them say their audio cues. But they're definitely letting you know that there's more enemies coming up. If you notice what's going on here, Pry 4, very small little visual bug. or possibly intentional. I don't think so. It doesn't look intentional. And that looked to be a texturing issue, not a lighting issue. Once again, for people who are into game design and level design, you should be thinking about how they're reusing previous assets. Definitely things from, say, the start menu. And also, when they reuse assets and yet they put a couple little props around them, and you don't really realize that you're seeing the exact same thing because they threw some bushes around it, they threw some vines, they threw a produce stand in front of it, and sure enough, that's the same exact building.
It's getting hot. What's going on?
I don't know necessarily why that guy's so easy. Maybe people aren't supposed to fire as fast as I do. I just don't see any reason not to. I'd also like to point out in this particular playthrough we didn't hear the audio cues, but a lot of the time the AI would have said, you know, the fireman's coming! And to get you kind of mentally prepared via audio for this particular fight, and also to give you a name and something to associate with. The other thing I'd like to point out for all the visual people out there, look at this building, look at the hue and the color that we got going on here, and watch what happens when I go inside of here. See that? So it's not like the world environment is having its rendering effects based upon some kind of flat generic lighting. It's based upon where you are, and I guess you would almost say you're a circle or a globe of perception. Once again, I don't know how they're implementing the game, and I don't know that much about the Unreal Engine, so or the modifications they've made to it. Now, I've been very tempted to just walk past this. I want to see what happens. You notice that they put a treasure box usually right next to him, which if you drop a treasure box next to people, there's a good chance, if you notice, that they'll just press X a whole bunch, and they'll get a better chance of picking up this vigor. I'm going to purposely miss it to show you how they are. Hello. What this fight would be like, this upcoming fight, without the vigor.
Let's see what that vigor does.
And if you notice, there's an audio cue, a pretty standard audio cue. Interesting. So the fight doesn't trigger. That's... Huh. So I'm so used to the fight getting triggered, and I guess it's partially triggered by you picking up the vigor. I'm going to see if I can't trigger it. Really won't let me trigger it. Interesting. So, I've wondered about this because many times I've come here, I'm like, oh, they have an extra one to make sure that you can't miss it. But I thought, well, with the door open, sure enough, you could miss out on this vigor. It's very important. So here we have scripted. All of this is a scripted event based upon you. Have you picked up that any vigor? Do you own the vigor? So let's see what happens when I pick up this vigor.
Let's kiss. Well, you only live once.
And
that wasn't no sample.
And okay. So and I had to go back a little bit. So, also, if you notice that they wouldn't let me just stand right here, maybe laying a bomb and getting a really easy fight, I had to go back a bit. Also, I think they wanted me to go back a bit because they wanted me to experience this neat little moment of setting this on fire. Or the fireworks going off, and that's also a fun little moment. So very different playthrough from my last couple playthroughs. Oopsie, I miss a corpse. Getting you used to obviously going off to the side and looking at these tables. Once again, a Pry 4 visual bug here. Not quite sure if that's a texture issue or if that was a light map issue. I don't... Well, you notice there is supposed to be this little bit of lighting on it. You see that? A little bit of reflectivity. So, not quite sure. I think that's a light map issue. If you don't know what a light map is, go ahead and look it up. Google. Should be one word. Okay. Now, one last thing is if you notice that there's a lot of assets, there's a lot of things that are in the memory right now, and very few games can have a continuous streaming world to this extent. So a lot of times what you'll have is, like, say, Gears of War 2, they'll have some wall crash down behind you or a gate crash down behind you, and that's so they can unload all the textures and all that memory space that it takes up. Some places, some games, they're forced to have a loading screen. Once again, I do apologize for some people. I've had some technical difficulties, and I could have... maybe this is being my third time through. I'm a little bit tired about talking about this particular set of levels. Now, if you notice, this is the door I came in. This is the orientation in which they point me to. So lots of light, lots of interesting things to look at, and of course I'm interested to go there. The average player, the average gamer, off they go, which rewards the kind of exploratory RPG player, the old school player, who's going to go and poke around automatically. Oopsie. And there's the first time you ever get drunk. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of these things. If you want, you can watch a proper playthrough. They're great little moments of filling out the game. They also act as devices in which to do foreshadowing. Or to explain away inconsistencies in the game. Okay, here's my favorite characters of the game.
We have company.
We do indeed.
Why are you following me?
We were already here.
Why are you following us?
Aperitif.
What was that?
Surprising.
Surprising that it worked.
Surprising that it didn't kill him.
But a magnetic repulsive field around one's body can come in handy.
If it doesn't kill you.
A fair point.
Love them. Give you a nice reward to go back, and the fairly good reward. If you notice that when you are full health, you're not allowed to get more stuff. When you are full vigor, you are not allowed to get more salts. And yet, they decided to have all these things that have a detriment. They allow you to hurt yourself. They allow you to take down your these mixed items. So here's a thing with minus salt. And I'm not quite sure why they made that design decision. Is it to penalize people who just spam X? Is it because they don't know at any given moment what a player actually wants? But when a player is both full on health and full on salts, not quite sure why they didn't put in a logic statement that will protect me from this. Anyway, minor thing that I actually don't enjoy about the item system And that's a design decision that they decided to do. Many of these barrels, almost all of the barrels, almost everything in the game seems to be random loop drops, I've noticed. Even the equipment, I will show you in a little bit, the equipment that you get are also random drops. So you have a little bit of audio with EQ and reverb to make it sound like it's outside. They want to get they're dipping your toe in the water, and as far as the fact that they want you to see a floating ship. Also, if you notice, they try their best to maybe grab your attention, or at least subconsciously you can maybe see something and get used to the idea of wall hooks. Especially if you're lost, possibly that might help. Okay, moving along. Sink. Why are there sinks in this game? Why?